Okay, Regulation I is here, finally. This past weekend, Milwaukee Regional Championship happened, and we're going to recap some of the latest teams to come out of it. It's the first tournament of this new format. We're allowed to play 2 restricted Pokemon, so yeah, it's going to be a huge insight to what's to come. This is a really important tournament for the circuit, as it is towards the end of the season now. This is a NAIC format, and we've got Worlds coming up in this format as well. So yeah, a lot to take away from this format. It was really exciting, a really good watch. Lots went down, including the fall of the Zamazenta Shadow Rider, the rise of Lunala, and yeah, just some interesting compositions to take away from the tournament. What that kind of means, what players chose to pick early on, and yeah, we'll cover up what that sort of means for future events and how to sort of line up how the format's going to look when we get to NAIC and Worlds to follow. So yeah, Milwaukee Regional Championship, it had 743 players, quite a big regional for the US and Canada. It's a really important tournament for the players sort of trying to make the top 75 to get the CP. And if we scroll down all the way to the bottom, so the Victory Road tournaments were a really big sort of part of defining this format really early on. Victory Road, which is a website, they host tournaments sort of quite a few weeks pre a format and then during a format. They cash prizes, and they tend to attract a lot of the best players in the world, including players from Asia as well. And that was dominated by Shadow Rider, Calyrex and Zamazenta. Pretty much all of Top Cut was 60 to 80% of this composition. If you don't know, Shadow Rider, obviously a ghost type, Zamazenta a fighter type. They cover each other offensively and defensively, as well as including Pokemon to support like Rillaboom, Incineroar, Tornadus as well. So yeah, really like a solid bread and butter composition. I think a lot of players at this stage of Scarlet and Violet have had experience with Zamazenta and Shadow Rider, and it was the first sort of standout composition and archetype that made a lot of sense for Regulation I. Going into this tournament, that was the team to beat. That was like the team that was all over ladder. I think every other match I played on Showdown was this composition of Shadow Rider, Zamazenta, Tornadus, Chempao, Rillaboom, Urshifu, or something along those lines. And sometimes an Amoonguss would be on those teams as well. But yeah, that was the team to beat going into the tournament. I think a lot of the top players were either going to play it and try and just one-trick it for the whole format, or we're going to see a team that is potentially just very good into it, and then sort of mediocre and average against all the other teams in the format, or we're going to find something that is the best 6 of the format. I don't think we've obviously the format's very undefined still. I think we've got like a grasp of what's good and what's not good. But yeah, really interesting tournament. There's a lot of big tournaments happening off the back of this as well. Like I mentioned, like NAIC Worlds. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it sort of lines up and yeah, especially because we could potentially see this format again in Scarlet and Violet, because as we've seen in the last couple of months, like Regulation G for example, we had that format, we had a 3-month break of Regulation H, and then we went back to it straight after. So we could potentially see this format again in the future. So it's really if you're playing VGC at the moment, and you're liking sort of Pokemon Showdown, or you're liking like just VGC in general, I think it's really worth spending a bit of time on this format, just so you get a good grasp of it in case we ever play this format again. So yeah, so day 1 usage for Milwaukee, I think it was quite expected. Well, I say expected. Shadow Rider Zamazenta was at the top, but only at 12%, which was quite staggering. I was really shocked when I saw this data. Number 2, Ice Rider Miraidon, which is one of these sort of top 5 compositions. This is something that I've kind of played like all these archetypes at the moment, trying to just get a feel of what's good. But yeah, this archetype of Ice Rider Miraidon, famously having an Ice type and Electric type on the team, is very good offensive coverage. So it makes a lot of sense to sort of combine this with maybe like an Iron Hands, Fergaraf, have Pokemon like Ogerpon Cornerstone as well, and just other like supporting pieces to really cover what these two don't touch, because these two complement each other so much. There's a speed sandwich, very offensively, a lot of like pressure offensively, and obviously these guys can be really bulky as well. So we'll get onto like the teams and like the sets people were sort of running later down in the video, but I kind of wanted to cover like these two were the most represented, and then Koraidon Lunana was also up there. We saw Wolf Glick playing this composition and archetype as well. as well as Shadow Rider and Koraidon being its 4th most used archetype. And then as we look into day 2, Ice Rider and Miraidon took the top percentage of Pokemon in day 2 for restricteds. Koraidon and Lunala, obviously a massive boost there, but we don't see what's kind of happened in the top 8, where, look at that, Lunala, Miraidon, absolutely everywhere. I think 7 out of top 8, all Miraidon teams, which is actually insane. But yeah, we don't really see that on these graphics, which is really interesting. Shows that composition had a really high win percentage, had a really good conversion rate. And yeah, it probably could potentially be the best team in the format. So yeah, really interesting data here. I don't think anything like sort of shocks us from the non-restricted Pokemon. Incineroar, Iron Hands. Iron Hands at 3 was really interesting as well. I think that's probably down to the popularity of Miraidon. We tend to see Farigiraf, Miraidon, Iron Hands kind of all on the same composition. Yeah, not too surprising, but I'm surprised by like Iron Hands being so high, higher than Farigiraf even. But yeah, if we kind of take a look at the teams in general, so obviously the big standout was this team in general was Miraidon, Lunala. If we get the paste up, yeah, it was kind of like AV Miraidon, which I really liked at the start of the format. I was playing this quite a bit, and then Lunala, which is an absolute monster. Like, this thing is an absolute stat ball, has insane stats across the board. You give it an electric seed, you pair it up to Miraidon. This thing has a +1 defense, and plus its broken ability Shadow Shield. It is a defensive monster. It can set Trick Room up, it has Wide Guard support, has you can Trust Slice into Fury and get a boost on your Moonblast, which is a very high damage base, like a very high damage stat move. Moongeist Beam, incredible move in general. Yeah, just a really like ferocious restricted that does demand a lot of respect. It does tend to hog the Terra, but I think that's kind of fine in these compositions. I don't really see anything else you really want to Terra except like Miraidon and potentially Ursaluna, which is also one of the standout Pokemon of this tournament. Ursaluna, Hisuian Ursaluna being a normal type and a ground type, so which is a fantastic switch in against Miraidon, Shadow Rider. You then get the Flame Orb at the end of the turn then, which then turns on its Guts ability. So yeah, just a phenomenal piece on these teams. We tended to see this composition across the board, where there was a building group, clearly, that had a really good idea of how to play these teams. Some people played Scarf Miraidon, some people played Specs Miraidon. I really liked Assault Vest because it was a bit more bulkier into Shadow Rider Zamazenta, because you could kind of like Terra Lunala into a Fairy, or you don't have to like Terra it. I mean, it makes, you can just click Wide Guard and you're protected by Astral Barrage. But if you Terra Fairy Lunala and then you have a Miraidon with AV, you kind of like wall out that composition of Shadow Rider Zamazenta off the bat. And then you have Snarl and Miraidon as well. Also Grimmsnarl, which a big riser in these teams as well. We see quite a few scattered across like top 32, top 16. Screens, I think, is like really valuable this format. I think just having a bit more survivability on your restricteds, and of course you can just ping a T-Wave onto a restricted Pokemon and have that sort of variance added to the mix. Especially if you have a bad matchup, you can implement like a Grimmsnarl on your team, Thunderwave like a key piece of the team, and then obviously it's on a bit of a timer where you're guaranteed, well not guaranteed, but like there's a percentage where it's going to get non-turns, and obviously it makes it slower as well, which is, yeah, really valuable for this format. And we're seeing like Grimmsnarl kind of like rise to the top here. Yeah, really interesting. So if we kind of like break this down, obviously Andrew Ding winning the tournament with this composition. I'm honestly not too surprised. I think the biggest piece on this team, which I don't see why the choice band, I guess Trick Room, is like really good in Trick Room. You can just like Terra Ghost, Surgeon Strikes. I think the team was adamant Urshifu from what I've seen on Twitter or X. It's an adamant Urshifu with the choice band, which is really good in Trick Room, and I think it covers like other random stuff too. So yeah, I mean, really good into Ice Rider too. But I don't think the team really struggles at Ice Rider. You've got like Incineroar, Wide Guard Lunala. Yeah, really. I think this is probably like the biggest flex spot in the team. But again, like, I'm not going to question the fact that there's a choice band Urshifu. It's clearly just dominated this tournament. We even see it like 3rd place. Same again, 4th place, same again. It's clearly has its place on the team. So yeah, really interesting to see this composition just rise to the top completely. Second place, we had Ice Rider Miraidon, which is a really interesting sort of concept with the Scarf Miraidon. So you're faster than Shadow Riders, and then you can also just like switch it up and go Trick Room and have Iron Hands Frigoroth Miraidon in the back for when your Trick Room expires. And also Volcarona is just a fantastic piece in the mirror. It kind of walls out the Zamazenta and the Ice Riders. You can get Will-O-Wisps on. Flame Body is just broken. So yeah, really good composition. I was on something quite similar early doors. Ogre Bolt as well is just a fantastic supporting piece for Ice Rider. You hit the water and the fire types super effectively. So yeah, just really good offensive support. And obviously Follow Me, Sturdy, pretty good. Another really noticeable team to come out of the tournament was this Ho-Oh Miraidon team. Obviously we had Joey in top 8, which is a very famous Smogon player, singles. I think they're just like a really good Pokemon player in general, but piloting Ho-Oh and Miraidon all the way to the top 8, which is really impressive. RD played the same team, finished in top 16, which I love this team, by the way. I think this team is so cool. It has kind of same concept. Grimmsnarl, Ursaluna, really good like defensive core here, with Miraidon obviously being the main enabler of the team. And then Ho-Oh just to basically the role this Ho-Oh plays on the team. Miraidon doesn't want to see grass types in general, but I to be honest, Ho-Oh just walls grass types, walls Koraidon as well. And it doesn't like Urshifu, and Miraidon just eats those for breakfast. So it's like these two offensively and defensively cover each other so nicely. It's like Ho-Oh has just got an insane special defense stat. It has Regenerator, has Leftovers. This thing's just like a lot of longevity, really bulky, offers Tailwind, crazy offensive pressure as well. So yeah, really cool concept. I think this was like whispered about quite early doors of this composition, how it would fare up. Like people just saw it as like a meme, like, oh, Ho-Oh Miraidon good, right? And then yeah, actually it is a pretty solid concept. So yeah, really interesting tournament. Obviously we've got Wolf Glick. I think he finished top 32. Funny enough, this is his worst finish in Scarlet and Violet in a regional, which is really interesting. Obviously he's the GOAT, right? But yeah, cool concept with his Koraidon is trusted core here of Incineroar, Amoonguss, Koraidon, Fluttermane, which he famously used to win EUIC a couple of months ago. And then add in Raging Bolt and then Lunala onto this concept. So I think like I played a lot of Koraidon myself. It is. I'm not saying it's a bad Pokemon. I think Koraidon is offensively ridiculous. It's so incredible, but like you have to terror it. With the Life Orb, it takes a lot of recoil damage, especially with Flare Blitz. Yeah, not to say it's like a bad team. I think I think it warrants like you just playing like incredibly and getting a lot of turns right with Koraidon. Especially like into like fake out teams, you gotta like protect it. Do you call the fake out? Do you just close combat into Incineroar? Do they Terra Bug? Do they Terra Ghost? So I feel like you got to get those calls right to play this team well. I think Wolf is probably the player to do that and get away with like being just a ridiculously good player and playing just like a very high skill, high reward team. But yeah, I couldn't get to grips with Koraidon myself. Maybe as a newer player, like trying to manage that crazy damage output and then reserving your resource even though you're taking so much chip is quite difficult. But yeah, if Wolf can do it, anyone can do it, right? So yeah, top 32, nothing to scoff at. Really good finish. And just a note, like I feel like with this format, for example, if we look at Joseph Ugarte, played a concept that he piloted very well in the last format, Regulation G. He simply just took out, I think it was an Urshifu here, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he just took out a fighting type, added another fighting type in Zamazenta, and then just like pretty much just played that to a top 16. Yeah, top 16. So yeah, a couple of things to take away from here. I think a lot of players might not use Shadow Rider Zamazenta because they want to keep the cards close to the chest. This is a Worlds format, this is an NIC format. And the fact that obviously it's early days, people want to experiment new things. People are taking comfort picks from Reg G and just adding like another restricted onto that team, like we see with Joe here. Obviously, like a couple of building groups have built this Lunala Miraidon team, which had incredible success. It will have a target on its back. Maybe we see more teams like the Zamazenta teams like crop up a bit more now. Now it's like that target's kind of gone off its back. So I expect like a vicious kind of like triangle to happen here, where we could see like this team be the best team in the format. It gets countered, it gets like respected, people tech for it, then like other teams kind of rise up. So that we kind of saw that in Reg G anyway. I think that's kind of the same in any sort of competitive format. But yeah, just like a lot to take away here. I think personally, I do expect to see a lot of experimentation. If we look at the calendar now, we have obviously NAIC coming up. We've got all the sort of like Asian qualifiers. I don't think there was like, well, they will impact the meta, but they're all like kind of like best of one, a lot of them. But yeah, we have Portland, which is end of the month. We have Utrecht in a couple of weeks, and we have Bologna the last weekend of May. And then we go straight to NAIC. So I do expect, do we have any in South America? Yeah, we do. We have Santiago, which is the same weekend as Utrecht. So I do expect for this 1, 2, 3, 4 regionals left, a lot of experimentation ahead of like NAIC. And then I feel like the best players, or the players that like want to do well at NAIC, will like show their hands, really. Just say, look, this is the concept that I feel the best with. I think this is the best in the format. We'll play this at NAIC, we'll refine it, and then we'll take it to Worlds. I think I'd be shocked if a lot of players didn't play their Worlds team at NAIC, or the team they want to play. I think we saw that like a little bit last year with NAIC. Like Wolf, for example, he played Shadow Rider, he refined it, took it away. I think we've all seen the video. I think that's probably the best thing to do. But yeah, like this is a really, really sick format. I'm really enjoying Pokemon VGC, and this format is just like really like rewarding to play, like skill expressive, and then it's also interesting to like do the team building aspect of it. So it's good to play, it's good to team build. I'm like pretty much checked out the season, but I'm still going to play like a lot of locals. There's a GC this weekend coming up, going to try and play that. And yeah, just like a lot going on. I think this is a really good format, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see what kind of happens next. So what does happen next? I'm going to do a prediction video for the next regional coming up. I'll probably try and do like a recap video and then a prediction video for every like big regional or like international coming up. So if you guys want to see more VGC content, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know your thoughts on the tournament. Let me know what teams you're building at the moment, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.